Hello, welcome back to my shop. In my last video, I built a flattening jig. Today, we're going to put that to work. Now, admittedly, the portion of this video that we're going to flatten the slab is going to be kind of boring, and I'll speed that up for you. What we want to focus on is the setup. That's going to determine the success of this entire project. What you need is actually an incredibly flat surface to start with. We're going to use this workbench, which is very flat already, but what we do want to do is make sure it's perfect. So what we're going to do is run string line from corner to corner, and if the two edges where the rails are going to ride are completely in line with each other, those strings are going to try to occupy the same space. Now, I built a little mock-up to show you exactly what that's going to look like. Now, as you can see, when you run the strings from corner to corner, when these two sides are completely flat with each other, the strings are going to try to occupy the same space in the middle. When they're out of line with each other, they're going to separate. Now, let's take a look at that in practice.
You'll need to elevate your string off of the workbench using 4 blocks of equal thickness. I prefer not to screw into my workbench, so I like to use clamps. Just make sure to pull the string nice and tight. The line that's on top should be elevated the thickness of the string line. This way, when the lines are in plane with each other, rather than occupying the same space, the top line will just touch the bottom line.
Now you can see the two lines don't quite touch. So we need to adjust until those are just touching each other. On my bench, I've added leveling feet at each corner to make such adjustments.
Now that the workbench is flat, it's time to set up the jig. In my previous video, I went into great detail on how to build this jig. I'll leave a link in the description below. Please check it out. Set the rails so they're equally spaced laterally on the workbench. Then use the upper assembly to set the width. Clamp everything tight. So this is a slab of walnut that I'll be flattening. Let me know in the comments your guess on what you think I'm going to use this for. The slab is longer than I need, so I'm going to take some of it off. This not only reduces how much slab I need to flatten, but it actually reduces how much thickness needs to be taken off in order to achieve a flat slab. Now add shims to any high spots, and then you need to lock the slab in place. I made these little brackets that I can just screw to the slab and clamp down to my bench. Then we're just going to use the rails to measure and find our lowest point. We're going to set that router to that lowest point, and then using the depth gauge, we're going to lock that in place so that the router can never exceed this depth.
All right, so now we have the slab completely locked in place and the router set to our lowest point. Now as I start to make my cuts, my first cut is going to be full depth. Right along the edge, I'm just going to put a small groove. I'm giving myself as a reference line. So what I've experienced in the past with routers, when you use them for an extended period of time, sometimes the router bit, just through vibrations, will start to work its way out of the chuck, making your cut deeper. So I'm giving myself that reference line so that as I'm cutting, if I ever notice myself cutting through that, then I know I have an issue to fix. So let's see how that looks.
I recorded this with my iPhone, and for some reason there's no audio. I don't really know how this works. If you do, let me know in the comments. I'd like to avoid this in the future. Be sure to make shallow cuts and go slow. Now this sounds like I'm working the router really hard, but that's just because the video is sped up around 400%. Just go slow, go back and forth until you've reached your lowest point. You'll notice in the next clip that I got tired of holding that cord, so I used some zip ties and attached it to the shop vac hose. So when I made this flattening jig, I had the goal of keeping the cost under $200, which meant my lower rails ended up a little short. Now it doesn't really hurt anything, it's just that you have to take the extra step to slide the rails down. Using longer rails probably would be nice. This end was probably the highest point in the slab. I'm probably being a little more aggressive here than I should be with the router, but I'm not too worried about it. There's going to be another finishing pass after this. Don't worry about the lines you see in the finished slab. You can't even feel those, and they're going to sand out real nice.
There it is. Slab's done, nice and flat. I did forget to record my last pass. What you need to do is set up for one last finishing pass. You're going to go real paper thin. That's going to leave you with a finish that is really easy to sand. It's going to clean up really well. This jig worked out really well. I'm very happy with this. Almost effortless in every direction. Hope you learned something. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please like and subscribe. Again, if you didn't, please like and subscribe. Stay tuned for the next one.